Welcome everyone who's joining me both on Instagram and Facebook. I'm going to be looking a little bit back and forth. I know it's a little strange. I'm still talking to you. I'm just looking at two different screens, trying to be efficient here with this transmission. My intention is to come into the collective through these social media platforms as a positive use of technology in this time when so many of us could be kind of zoning out, scrolling through pictures, looking at other people's lives, or we can tune in to the heart together. And my prayer is to be of service to the collective. We're going through really intense times together. As we all know, we're in what I call the great initiation, the great shifting, which sometimes feels like a birth canal or a dark night of the soul, or even like a chrysalis where our lives as the caterpillars we once were are dissolving and breaking down and reforming into something new that's beyond our knowing. And it's really scary. It's scary to the ego mind. It's scary to the part of us that wants to know what is happening and what's going to happen. So let's just take a big breath together. I am here in a hotel room in a place I did not expect to be after escaping a huge pyrocumulus black cloud yesterday with huge fires 45 miles away from where I was staying. Beautiful property and home of great friends of mine, where the power went out, the Wi-Fi, the internet went out, and the sky became so dark and so bizarre. It looked like night in the day yesterday. The air quality nearby rose to about 400, which is completely toxic. So we sat out under this massive dark cloud for hours, wondering, are we going to be breathing this toxic smoke, or is that fire going to get to us while we're asleep in the night? So these are very uncertain times. Welcome everyone who's tuning in on both Facebook Live and Instagram. I'm just talking about the intensity of these times. We are all being initiated. And I know that word could be new to some people. I want to talk about a few things today that are in my mind and on my heart, or in my heart and on my mind. One of them is how to navigate in a very intense time of chaos, unknowns, uncertainty, and high levels of charge. And when I say charge, I'm talking about that energy within our nervous system that sometimes feels like we're not a choice. We're in a knee-jerk, reactive state, just trying to cope or survive. And when we're dealing with things like a pandemic, natural disasters, a big fire in my case that just hit about 45 miles away. I was staying in Nevada City with good friends, like I was saying, and had to leave and find a hotel nearby where I could do this call and other work calls today. So really being a flow master and pivoting and staying grounded in a different kind of grounding is necessary these days. Whereas before I might have said, okay, I have a lot of security in a certain area of my life. My root chakra stuff is, root chakra's up for all of us. Health, we got the pandemic, stability around finances. A lot of people are out of work. Stability or instability around home, sanctuary, where we're going to live. A lot of people are looking at the state they live in, the government in the state they live in, thinking about, is this resonant for me anymore? Do I want to live in California anymore? What's going on with the laws? What's going on with the environment? So our root chakra is getting activated collectively. We're in a root chakra wobble where the ground is very malleable, the ground of our being, the ground of our lives. And I thought, what could I talk about today that might be of service, that I'm practicing, that I'm in right now, that I'm using, that I could share? Because there's really nobody who's already like there going, okay, people, this is what you need to do. This is me sharing from my experience in the intensity, in the messiness, in the up and down and waves with you. One of the things that has been helping me is called pattern interrupters. And a pattern interrupter is something that we make a very, very strong intention to find and to remember for those moments where that charge that I mentioned seems really, really activated and really intense. We can recall our pattern interrupter, and with grace and practice, we can remember to use it in those moments where we have a choice. We have a choice. We're always at choice. We're in a free will universe. That being said, we have a lot of unconscious and subconscious programs running that make it challenging for us to literally be free and at choice. So when I say a pattern interrupter, what is the pattern that I'm talking about? I just want to get really clear with you. This isn't about interrupting anybody else's pattern. This is not about adjusting anything out there on the screen of what's happening with other people's choices or behaviors or language. This is only about us. This is only about me. When I use my pattern interrupter, I am resetting my nervous system for a moment so that I can become free and sovereign and at choice again, rather than reactive, crazy, and pre-programmed to go into fight and flight trauma response. And when I say crazy, I kind of smile, because in a way it is like the root chakra or the ego hijacks our highest intentions and our good-heartedness sometimes. And I think that all of us can agree, we are finding ourselves saying and doing things that if we were to watch the movie, we'd think, is that really the character I want to play in this scene? Is this really the highest choice for my hero's journey, my heroine's journey? So the pattern interrupter gives us a reset, a very momentary, powerful reset. And the reason I'm bringing it into the conversation online today is because we are at choice when we remember. Have you ever heard the expression, I didn't install your buttons, I just pushed them? This is what I'm talking about. We have, all of us, parental programming, imprinting from our first 7 years of emotional imprinting. We have ancestral wounding and programming from the lineages we come from through our DNA. And we have what's called samskaric codes or templates that we are working out on a yogic level, which is ancient past life imprints. So for us to truly be free, to truly be sovereign, it takes a Jedi practice. It takes this kind of real focused, intentional, heart-centered navigation these days. And when outer circumstances are heightened and insecure and intense, like a pandemic, insecurity about where we're going to live or our finances, natural disasters like hurricanes and huge fires and giant black smoke clouds that could descend upon you, there is more of a challenge staying present, staying heart-centered, and staying in our remembrance, our Jedi practice. It's easy when you're sitting on a yoga mat or meditating to feel shanti and peaceful and everything's cool. When your beloved is angry at you and you don't have a place to live and a dark cloud is descending on you, can you breathe and feel your feet and unfurl the contraction in your root, in your tail? It's challenging. So I want to show and share a couple pattern interrupters that have been helping me in this moment, because I'm talking about my own experience right now. I'm talking about the challenges that I'm facing in hope that it's some medicine for others who are also going through it, because it is really collective. And when you hear like, oh, there's only one of us here in Lakesh Alakin, it's becoming more and more obvious that we're all being initiated to choose love or fear, to choose reactivity, contraction, and separation, or responsiveness, expansion, and connection. So pattern interrupters help us have a moment more to choose. So one of my favorite pattern interrupters is to simply notice, as close as I can to the present moment, what's going on in my breath and my body. If I'm aware that I am holding my breath and tightening, like lifting up and contracting, I am in fight and flight. I am in a trauma response. I am not in present moment, relaxed, downregulated nervous system responsivity. I am in reaction. So how do I then counteract that? What's the antidote? I've found that putting a hand on the heart chakra, simply holding and sometimes creating a little spiral, 3 deep connected belly breaths. It can be a cleansing breath in the nose and out the mouth. Feeling my back body. Oh, I have a back body. I'm not leaning forward in anxiety and up and out and forward and I can't take this moment. I'm coming back to the present moment. Oh, I have a back body. I have a core. I have a central channel. Feeling my belly, that deep belly breathing, 3 deep connected belly breaths. And then lo and behold, I have knees and feet again. Oh my God, I'm standing here 10 toes in to my own life. When I'm in trauma, when I'm in a reactive state, I am not aware of my lower body. I'm somewhere up here and out here and thinking and reacting in a way that I'm going to either win, be right. It's almost like the root chakra's agenda is self-preservation, survival, fight and flight. So that means I'm gonna win this battle and you become temporarily like the enemy when I'm in that contraction. When I downregulate my nervous system with this simple pattern interrupter, I come back to my heart, I come back to my breath, I come back to my back body and my feet, and I recognize, oh, there's a lot of upset happening over there. This being, let's say it's my partner, my beloved, is really triggered. Often our nearest and dearest triggers become our triggers. We are triggered by their triggered energy. When I come back to my center, I can then be with what's happening over there and recognize it's not happening in here. There's upset happening over there. There's anger, there's fear, there's jealousy, there's something happening over there. Whatever it is, I think all of us can relate to that experience. What's happening here? I am breathing. I am okay. I feel my heart. I feel my feet. Okay, what's happening over there? That's theirs. So now I'm at choice. When we're corded into each other in a reaction, it's often like, you're doing this to me. You're making me feel like this. So let's get really clear for a second. Even if somebody is angry, even if somebody's energy is intense, are they doing anything to us, or are they being activated in a shared space and their energy is challenging for us to be around? But are they making us feel anyway? Or are we reacting to them as a pre-programmed response, a trauma response? When we use our pattern interrupter, whether that, I had a friend, just as an aside, whose pattern interrupter was grabbing one of his feet and jumping up and down. And he would use that in arguments with his beloved. It would usually make her laugh. And it would bring them back into levity and back into a new conversation that wasn't as charged. My pattern interrupter is a little less like jolly and silly. It's just self-soothing. So I'd like to invite all of you to just take a moment and feel what might be a good pattern interrupter for you. Something you can do without it being like all these different mudras or something that you're going to have a lot of attention on you. Something that is simple. Something that might look like 3 snaps or something that you can clear your energy, come back to the present moment, recognize I'm in a reaction, I'm in a trigger, I'm holding my breath, I'm triggered, I'm contracted. Hold on. Whatever your pattern interrupter is, just take a minute. You can even just close your eyes and feel like, okay, what's something I do to clear my energy, something I do to ground, something that I've used that I know works for me. There's a funny little story that came up recently with my partner and I, where we were listening to his playlist and an Elton John song came on. I think it's called Tiny Dancer. And it says, "Hold me closer, tiny dancer." And he laughed and he said, "You know, when I was young, I thought it said, 'Hold me closer, Tony Danza.'" And I was like, oh my God, that is so funny. So I decided that if I saw him in a big reaction, to sing that to him and to see if that might be a pattern interrupter between the two of us, if that might work for him to kind of go, oh my God, I'm so serious, or I'm taking this moment way too seriously. So we're still working with, can we use pattern interrupters for other people? So far it's hit and miss. So let's stick maybe for today to our own pattern interrupters. And if there's something that helps you, whether that's 3 deep breaths, whether that's snapping 3 times, wiggling all your toes, feeling your back body, that's highly recommended. Because when we are in a reaction, it is always when the past is present and we don't feel safe and grounded. Something that traumatized us when we were very small is being messaged by the apparent situation in the present moment. And that appears unsafe. That energy appears to be something that we cannot stay completely open and heart-centered and present for. When we use our pattern interrupter, well, we'll start to notice, wow, I can hold a lot more space for this other person's emotional experience, and they're not responsible for mine. That's freedom. So we can say, yeah, we have free will, and when we are heavily pre-programmed into fight and flight and separating in victim-perpetrator consciousness, we're not really free. So a pattern interrupter is something that I hope you explore more in your meditation, in your contemplation. You can experiment with it. Try different ones out. Feel what works for you and be gentle on yourself. This isn't about perfectionism, and this is not about, oh, one time didn't work, so never mind. This is about practice. We are the Rainbow Light Jedi with our willingness to come back to the heart, to breathe, to get present, and to respond rather than react. We are the antidote to a system that would perpetuate victim-perpetrator consciousness and the illusion of separation. So if you are here to be a part of the great shift, if you are an imaginal cell in the chrysalis of this dark night of the soul, then practice using your pattern interrupters and being the one who chooses compassion, breath, a moment more, presence, self-soothing, before adding fuel to the fire of whatever's going on in your life. I know we are all being initiated. This is the initiation for our growth, for the leap we're being asked to make, the shift we're being asked to make from ego mind centric beings to heart centered beings. And I have faith in us, humanity. And I have faith in you and your good-heartedness. And I'm sending you so much love. Good to see you. It's so sweet to see who's here with me. We're talking about pattern interrupters and how powerful they are to come back to heart-centered, responsive choice rather than pre-programmed reptilian brain reactivity. We are the ones who are the imaginal cells. Every time we choose this, every time we choose love over fear, expansion over contraction, connection over separation. We are the imaginal cells that are part of the great metamorphosis from the ego-centered Homo sapien into the leap into what some call Homo sanctus, some call Homo luminous, and some just call the next octave of our golden age, which we are in the birth canal to. So I send you so much love. May you practice your pattern interrupters and find them and use them regularly. And I'll be right there practicing with you. We are walking side by side, eye to eye, heart to heart, wingtip to wingtip, earth angels. Together we rise, heart first. Love you. Bye, everybody.